Now, Sweden will apply for NATO membership as Scandinavian neighbor Finland opens debate on joining. To the fury of Putin after he invaded Ukraine to stop the alliance expanding. Sweden has signaled it will apply for NATO membership today in a move set to infuriate Vladimir Putin by expanding the US backed security alliance's presence on Russia's borders. Sources in the Swedish SVD party announced the move on the same day that fellow neutral neighbor Finland started its debate on joining NATO after days of speculation it would do so. Sweden's Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson is understood to be eager for the country to join the transatlantic alliance by June, to the fury of Vladimir Putin, who invaded Ukraine in part for its desire to join to the pact. The application is expected to be submitted by the NATO meeting in Madrid on June 29th, 20, despite Kremlin threats of destruction, Swedish reports say. Similarly, Finland is hoping to start its application process within weeks, not within months, its Prime Minister Sanna Marin said today. A Finnish government report released today that examines the fundamentally changed security environment will now make its way through Parliament, followed by a debate next week, and expected to form the basis of their decision. Today, Andersson hosted Marin in Stockholm for a meeting on the prospective memberships of the alliance. Marin said, there are different perspectives to apply for NATO membership or not to apply, and we have to analyze these very carefully. But I think our process will be quite fast. It will happen in weeks. The assault on Ukraine sparked a dramatic U-turn in public and political opinion in Finland and neighboring Sweden regarding the long-held policies of military non-alignment. Attempting to join NATO would almost certainly be seen as a provocation by Moscow, for whom the alliance's expansion on its borders has been a prime security grievance. But Sweden's ruling party said this week, when Russia invaded Ukraine, Sweden's security position changed fundamentally. The center-left Social Democrats have historically opposed NATO membership, but the brutal invasion of Ukraine has reignited debate on the Scandinavian kingdom. A policy reversal for the party, which ruled for uninterrupted 40 years between the 1930s and 1970s, would be historic. Sweden is officially non-aligned militarily, although it is a NATO partner and abandoned its position of strict neutrality after the end of the Cold War. Having initially stressed that non-alignment had served Sweden's interests well, Andersson recently conceded that she was ready to discuss the policy and in late March said she did not rule out a bid to join NATO. Meanwhile, in Finland, former Prime Minister and longtime NATO advocate Alexander Stubb said he believes Finland making a membership application is a foregone conclusion. Finland has a long history with Russia. In 1917, it declared independence after 150 years of Russian rule. During World War II, its vastly outnumbered army fought off a Soviet invasion before a peace deal saw it cede several border areas to the Soviet Union. During the Cold War, Finland remained neutral in exchange for guarantees from Moscow that it would not invade. So the turnaround in sentiment on NATO would have been unthinkable just a few months ago. As recently as January, Marin said membership was very unlikely during her term. But after 2 decades of public support for membership remaining steady at 20 to 30%, the war caused a huge surge. Recent surveys by a Finnish market research company put 84% of Finns as viewing Russia as a significant military threat, up by 25% last year. In response, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov euphemistically warned the move would not improve the security situation in Europe, and Moscow lawmaker Vladimir Japarov added more bluntly it would mean the destruction of the country. We have repeatedly said that the alliance remains a tool geared towards confrontation and its further expansion will not bring stability to the European continent, Peskov said. Public statements gathered by newspaper Helsingin Sanomat suggest half of Finland's 200 MPs now support membership while only 12 oppose. Others say they will announce a position after detailed discussions. The government said it hopes to build a parliamentary consensus over the coming weeks, with MPs due to hear from a number of security experts. Marin expects a decision before midsummer, with many analysts predicting could submit a bid in time for a NATO summit in June. Any membership bid must be accepted by all 30 NATO states, a process that could take 4 months to a year. Finland has so far received public assurances from Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg that NATO's door remains open and several members support. Unlike Finland, Sweden shares no land border with Russia, and the two countries have not been at war for 2 centuries. Nonetheless, pro NATO sentiment is also rising among Swedes, who are realizing that they might find themselves in the same position as Ukraine. A lot of sympathy, but no military help, said Robert Dalsjo, research director at the Swedish Defense Research Agency. Many commentators expect Sweden and Finland will act in tandem in whether to join, but their leaders stress they may reach differing decisions. Sweden's ruling party this week announced a review of its long held opposition to joining NATO. For the Social Democrats in Sweden to change position is like changing religion, former Finnish PM Alexander Stubb said. And I'm not talking Protestant to Catholic, I'm talking Christian to Muslim. Finland's President Sauli Niinisto said Russia's response could include airspace, territorial violations, and hybrid attacks, which Finnish NATO proponents believe the country is well prepared to withstand. Russia will most certainly huff and puff, Daljo said, but added, I don't think they will do anything violent. However, in the mood that Russian President Vladimir Putin is right now, I wouldn't rule it out entirely.